Hey everyone, this is Tommy signing on an Energy Academy. I'm going to be talking about 4 ways in which we can permanently reduce our energy costs, especially here in the UK, where we've been experiencing significant energy increases. I'm going to be looking at the immediate, the near term, the short term, and the long term solutions to bringing down energy costs for good. Now, the first way we can bring down energy costs today is by removing carbon levies and carbon costs and carbon taxes out of our energy prices. Now, this includes out of our gas prices, out of our electricity prices, even out of the prices that we pay at the pumps. We need to remove all carbon levies today. If we do that, we're going to see drops between 15 to 25% in our energy bills today. That is something the government has power over. And I'm hoping that someone in the government is actually watching this right now. The second way we can reduce our energy costs is by encouraging oil and gas producers today in the UK to actually start increasing their productions and explorations that they've held back on due to lack of financial incentives or due to regulatory issues that have been placed on them. We need to start giving these companies the access to start exploring oil and gas reserves that they've identified and that they've identified to be profitable and to be lucrative and to actually enable us, especially with regards to gas, because gas prices tend to be felt locally. So the activities that we engage in regards to our gas exploration in the UK means that we can actually see a decrease in the price of gas. Oil prices tend to be set more internationally. So if we increase oil production in the UK, we're not necessarily going to see reduction in oil prices at a few pumps. But for gas prices, if we increase our gas production, we will see a drop in our gas prices in the UK. We see this, for example, in countries like the US, who produce a lot of gas nationally. That means that the gas prices in the US is far lower than gas prices, say, for example, in Europe or in the UK. Now, the near-term solution essentially has a time frame of between 3 to 6 months, could be a year, but this is something that can be done relatively quickly because we have the assets, we have the expertise, and all that needs to be given essentially is more encouragement to these companies. And we saw that happen recently where the Chancellor of the Exchequer essentially approved the exploration of additional gas wells in the North Sea. Now, the medium-term solution is in twofold, and that will be the exploration of shale assets in the UK. Now, the UK has shale assets in the Irish Sea, also has shale assets in the north of the country, and we can explore this substantially to actually increase the number of gas-producing companies in the UK. This means that we can drive down costs even further. Now, the time horizon for achieving something like this will be between 18 months to 2 years, at most 3 years. But this is something that if we put our backs to it, we can actually achieve this in a relatively short period of time. This is something that has to be explored. And recent news that the UK government ordered shale explorers to block their wells, to permanently block their exploration wells, is quite disheartening because it's telling me that they're not serious about reducing energy costs for the people of the UK. So remember, if energy is exploited locally, it's more secure for the people using it, and it tends to be more economical for the people using it. There's no point in saying to the Americans, we want to use your shale gas and then stop ourselves from using shale gas right underneath our feet. Another medium-term idea is to look at reducing the number of burdensome energy sources on our grid. Now, in my last video, I discussed why we pay a lot more for our energy, and I found out that a big part of the culprit for this, apart from the carbon levies and the carbon tax, are energy sources like wind energy, solar energy, that are very erratic and place a lot of burden on the energy system, and means that we have to pay a premium to back them up. And not just that, we have to also pay carbon tax for the backups to the wind turbines and the solar panels. So this is something that we need to change. So we need to look at phasing down the amount of wind and solar that we actually have in our energy grid. That's something we can do in the medium term. And another way to incentivize this is essentially by rejigging or completely removing or stop using the fraudulent LCOE, which is the levelized cost of electricity, which is a way of making assets such as wind and solar look very attractive and very profitable for investors, whilst making assets such as gas plants or combined heat and power or conventional coal plants to make them look much less attractive, and thereby driving the cost of energy for the. If you want to know more as to why we pay more for our energy prices, I will encourage you to watch that video. But I think that a big part of our medium-term solution is to phase down the number of wind and solar we have in our system now, because it makes our system, our energy system, very expensive. The last strategy of how we bring down our energy costs is by investing heavily in nuclear energy. And I'm talking specifically about SMR technology, which essentially is modularized reactors. But I believe that this is a long-term solution in terms of driving our energy costs in the UK, making our energy system very stable, increasing our energy security. But suffice to say right now, a long-term solution to bringing our energy costs will be to have more modularized reactors in the UK, built in strategic places such as coal power stations that are no longer used. So we need to think strategically as to how we can reuse assets, energy assets that essentially are no longer working or we've mothballed. And we need to think about how we actually use or reuse those areas, those sites for modularized reactors, and that way we can keep economic activity going on in those areas in the long term. I'm going to be talking a lot more about those ideas and those concepts, but suffice to say, these are my 4 strategies of how we can bring down energy costs permanently in the UK. Number 1 is to remove the carbon levies that we have in our energy bills. Number 2 is to incentivize oil and gas companies to produce more gas in the short term. In the medium term, we need to incentivize the production of shale gas, and we need to reduce the amount of wind and solar we have on our energy grid, because it makes our energy grid very unstable and also very expensive. And in the long term, we need to invest heavily in modularized reactor designs. These 4 ways are sure banker ways of how we will bring down our energy costs. As we get better in how we produce energy, then we should drive down the cost of energy. So these are my ideas. Let me know what you think about this. If you think, Tommy, I love your ideas, I want to see you give this video a thumbs up, share, like, subscribe. Let people know about these ideas. Let your politicians and your elected officials and your friends know about this idea. If you think, Tommy, I don't think your ideas are good, I think it's going to increase CO2 up into the atmosphere, I want to hear your thoughts. If you think my ideas are bonkers, I want to hear your thoughts below. But this is the video I'm putting out today. This is Tommy signing off on Energy Academy.